Hello, everyone, and welcome to Moonrise. This is Dave Johnson. I'm channeling Man in the Moon today. So I want to channel, first of all, Fani Willis. She's going through this trial. I want to see what the effect will be. This will be a political reading. And I'm also going to take a look at Trump. You know, he's really making some serious gaffes. He's not finishing his sentences. It's not just a little thing now. It's pretty much every speech he kind of trails off. I want to see whether it's getting worse or what that situation is, why he's having that. Let's start with Fani Willis. I see Fani and she kind of like rolls her eyes. It's just inevitable. It's just any case against Trump will get delayed. They'll find some detail to nitpick. That's sort of her feeling about this is just eye rolling, waste of time, nonsense. Just as an somewhat objective person, I just don't see what this has to do with Trump's trial. I don't see a conflict here. Maybe their office wants to do something about say, hey, how about if you don't have romantic relationships like that? Maybe, but what does that have to do with Trump? And again, she just has this feeling like I knew this would happen. They would find something to crow about. Judge here, I wasn't super happy with that judge. I don't know anything about that judge, but the way that I see the judge now is sort of like, yeah, this is kind of dumb, but we got to go through it because we don't want anybody to accuse us of bias. We don't want after the fact somebody coming in and having to retry this and all this stuff. So we kind of have to. But there's a little bit of an eye roll here and a little bit of like, well, Fani, that we probably shouldn't have done that. But again, this is just, he doesn't seem like he thinks it's such a big deal. Like nobody ever dated a coworker. Come on. That's kind of his feeling about that. And the scale of the crimes that he's seen, this is pretty much not there. So I'm just wondering just going to ask what's the judge going to do? Hmm. I'm afraid to say there's a little bit of a tear in Fawny's eyes. And some people are cheering. I mean, it kind of looks like Trump's team is cheering. So I'm getting a little worried by this message. So Spirit is Fawny going to be taken off the case? Fawny shakes her head no. The judge doesn't look very optimistic. There's a little bit of an essence of him kind of having to do something. I keep seeing one side cheering. I can't tell who it is. Yeah, Fawny does not look happy here. I'm not super optimistic, you guys. I hate to say it. This was not what I expected. I do see a cheering group of people. Bonnie doesn't look totally wrecked. She seems sad and disappointed, but she kind of smiles, a sort of dry smile at the end. I can't tell if, yeah, this is predicted. Let me ask again. So, Spirit, will Fawny be taken off the case? See, I can't see a good outcome here yet. It's not super clear though. Okay, one more time. Spirit, show me in a different way. Will Fawny be taken off the case? I kind of see Fawny going into the distance and coming back. It's not clear. What can you show me that? can we know? Well, maybe we'll just take a look from the point of view of the Trump team. They seem a bit ambiguous, so I'm not 100% certain one way or the other. Let's take a look again at Fani. Fani, are you happy? She doesn't look super happy, but she doesn't look mortified either. She kind of shakes her head, and it's just this, these just the power is the power, it just you just can't get any justice in our society sometimes. It feels that way. Let's just put it that way. Anybody who's going up against Trump has to be so squeaky clean as to not be human. And come on, that's the case. No one is absolutely perfect. I get the feeling that Fani is saddened and disappointed, but she's not disappointed in the ultimate outcome. So it may be that she is taken off the case and has to pass it to someone else. Yeah, I think that's a very good possibility. She just looks kind of like, disappointed and sad. And the judge is there going, well, we have to have the 100% appearance of perfectness for to go up against this trial, and the public view is super important. And if anybody is tinged with anything negative, then we get accused of being unfair. So we have to be squeaky clean ourselves. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I hate to say it, everyone, but I see Fani walking away. I don't think that this is true justice. I do think that the judge is trying to be squeaky clean. And I suppose there's something valuable about that. It just seems that always Trump is able to use the wheels of, let's call it injustice, to support him. He's never, ever has to face, often he hasn't had to face the truth. One thing I do feel about the trial is that it will go on, and Fani's like, it's disappointing to me personally that I didn't get to conduct the case, but it doesn't mean that Trump will get away with it. It just means that those of us who go up against him always pay a very high price. And in her case, it's a, humiliation and exposure of some personal details. Let's see once more. So it's like a scale. And in the scale, Trump rises and Fani lowers for a little while, but then it balances out. I'm hoping this just means a reprimand to Fani, and she's embarrassed and saddened by it, but the trial continues under her direction. But it may very well mean that this is taken away from her. So I'll just like send a little love to Fani. Everybody makes, you know, if we can call them mistakes, I guess we could call this a mistake. But yeah, my sympathy to you, Fani Willis, if you're watching. So let's move on to Donald and him trailing off. Why is Donald Trump trailing off? He really, I get a feeling of confusion. He really is confused. He will really be like, where am I? Halfway through a sentence. All that steam and blowhard Donald Trump is really, it's coming back to haunt him. It's like he's running out of gas because he's so gassy. He's so he's so bombastic. He's such a windbag that the wind is like, there's no more wind. And he keeps trailing off, and it's like I see stars. It's like he's in the stars. Like it literally is like this man is halfway out of his life. He's not long for this world. I just don't feel that he's gonna live that much longer. One good thing is, he's always said he's a stable genius and he's taken all these things. So I'm a little afraid he'd get out of this by just saying he's lost his mind or he's no longer cogent and he can't answer questions. But he's gone forward and presented himself as a perfectly capable person, so he can't turn around and lie about that. He can try, but his ego might not let him. Let's see what's going on for Donald. There's a certain like almost like a childlike aspect. Sometimes when older people, they kind of in their minds will go back to childhood and they'll start playing out scenarios of their childhood. I see like a baby Melania Trump as if they were playmates, and almost, it's kind of a little sad. It's like when he was 3 years old, he was a perfectly sweet little boy who would have loved to play with Melania as a nice person and, not be cruel to anyone. It's just like there was this potential once. And in some sense, it's almost like the loving little kid has to finally come out that there's this situation that's just so incredibly stressful, that's so difficult for him to maintain. And it's this whole, scenario that we've lived in for a while of this aggression, 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 aggression. That's the way to be. But, you even Donald Trump can't kill his inner child. And now that inner child is just that innocence is starting to come forward. And it's almost like at a certain point, he's rageful, and then he gives up. He's just like, I can't manage this. In a way, it's a really great example of, of for all of us. When you're living in that rage, all of us have been there. When you're living in that rage, eventually it's just got to stop. It can't sustain itself forever. And that way of being that many of us have been raised around, it's inevitable that it will, behind all that is a crying kid. And behind all that is a human who needs to stop being within rage. It's just so out of balance. Anything else that will tell me about his experience? I guess we'll ask this. Spirit, is it going to get worse? I mean, I see deer in the headlights. I just see a deer in the headlights, kind of, which means, heck yeah, it's going to get worse. I see him even in front of a crowd of people. I don't know if this is symbolic or not, but I'm seeing him in a debate with Biden. And I have a feeling he may not even make it that far. He may not make it that far. They may just go, no debate. We can't do it. He's too nuts. And that's not going to be good for Donald. If he does get there, and again, this might be symbolic or literal, he's just going to be halfway through his sentence and it's just going to be like off in Never Never Land. You notice how he kept interrupting in the last two debates? He just interrupted his, opponent and just talks over them. It's just a complete Fox News thing. In that talking over, that aggression, you have to be very, at least present to do that. He will not be able to be that aggressive. Or when he is, he'll be making a fool of himself. He'll ask for some candy or something. It just won't make any sense. This is the ultimate defeat for Donald, that total public humiliation, and defeat also for his fans as they see the reality of what he has been accusing others of, which is senility. Yeah, I actually see, and I think this is the greatest win. All of those who are critical of Donald actually feeling a little bit sorry for him. This is like the ultimate win for the left. Is when we can actually feel sorry for a person like that. I'm just getting a final message, which, look, some of this stuff is very distressing, but it really is divinely planned for us to learn. Poor Fani, I mean, I think perhaps she needed to learn something too. I don't think that it's fair, but perhaps she needs to learn something, and we all need to learn something from this kind of situation. But we also can trust this the sort of divine light is guiding us to make sure that Trump shows us, really that he is just not there anymore. Thanks so much for watching.